Hey, good evening. It's Roamin Rich for episode number 24 of 66 Minutes with Roamin Rich. I appreciate you tuning in. Tonight, I've got a good guest for you. He's been around the Route 66 scene for many years. We'll bring him out here in just a little bit. His name is Gregory Highway Hasman. And can't wait to get him out here and introduce him to everybody. And for most of you roadies out there, you probably already know him or have met him. So that'll be cool. If you've never watched the show before, we do this live every week at 7 p.m. on Sundays. And I haven't missed one yet. This is episode number 24 in a row. So I feel like that's quite an accomplishment. I wish I had like the little button where I could get the applause going. I probably deserve it by now. Tonight's show is going to be really, really casual, really laid back. Again, it's a lot of these shows, we just kind of throw them together real quick. And they're just designed really to talk about Route 66 and things that are of interest. And we'll make it interactive for you too. So along the way, as we're progressing through the show, you may see things like, a chat overlay or something, things of that nature, where we bring up the chat. And I'll show that to you right now. Okay. So as comments and questions start feeding through, they'll appear up on your screen over there, and feel free to comment. They'll pop up on the screen. Another thing that we like to make good use of is QR codes up in the corner over here. And I always miss that. Right there. It'll pop up right there. Let's see here. Let me get it going here. Boom. Maybe not. It's not showing. There it goes. Right there. Right there. Okay. If you scan that QR code, it'll take you to our Facebook group called 66 Minutes. We do a lot of interactive stuff in that group page. And to my own admission, I'm going to confess something. Every week, we usually try to do a little segment called Where's Roamin Rich? And this last week, I got so busy, I forgot to post a picture. So if you were searching for Roamin Rich or looking for one of his posts for the segment that we were supposed to have this week, you didn't find it because it wasn't there. So I apologize up front. It just escaped me, but we'll try to make it for the next episode. Okay. So there's people already posting their comments and stuff. If you have questions or anything tonight, post those up there. At some point, we'll open up the studio too. If anybody would like to pop in and be a guest and maybe chat with Gregory or myself or bring up a few questions and tune out, that would be cool too. We'll post that link in just a second. It'll be in the form of a QR code, or you can check it out on the Facebook group page, 66 Minutes. Again, if you scan that QR code up there, it'll take you to the group page. And it was one of the very last posts. I posted it just a few minutes ago, a link in case people would like to tune into the studio tonight and be on the show. All right. I guess the first thing I'll probably get into is the shirt. And you guys have probably seen this shirt before. I'm wearing it again. It's kind of a repeat, but it's to help promote the Missouri Motor Tour. So this was the shirt we had last year. I'll just kind of get it up. Beautiful shirt right there last year. We got the 57 Chevy. We got the Munger Moss Motel neon sign. We got the big giant Route 66 shield. It was a great shirt. That was a limited edition run. Now, whether or not you join the motor tour, you can still get one of these shirts if you'd like to have one. You just scan that link below and that little QR code down below there, and that'll take you to our Custom Ink fundraiser page, where they will gladly take your money and send you a beautiful shirt. There's multiple colors, multiple styles you can choose from. And I really like the design this year. It's different. It's off the wall. It's a little simple, but I think it's a great shirt, and you should buy one. If you're going to be on the motor tour, you definitely want to get one. Tomorrow is the very last day you can order one of these shirts. So be sure to do that. Get your shirt. And all the proceeds benefit the Missouri Route 66 Association and all the various projects that we take on. I see already Sean Fowler. He is posting prayers for Ramona. He's talking about Ramona Lehman. And again, we mentioned the Munger Moss shirt there. Ramona Lehman is the owner of the Munger Moss, and she was in a really nasty car accident this last week. She's just been dealt a really, really tough time in the last year between health issues. She's fallen down a few times. She's had to have brain surgery a few times. Now I think she's got a couple of broken pelvises, and she has a brain bleed again. I think she's in stable condition, but yes, she could definitely use your prayers and any vibes that you want to send that way to her. We could really appreciate that. So prayers to Ramona and her family, everybody who's dealing with that. Jess McIntyre, also, he was driving her during the accident, and I believe he was injured as well. So you want to put some prayers out there for Jess as well. Want to make sure everybody is staying safe and being healthy out there. We need them to recuperate, because we definitely need the Munger Moss to stay around. Ramona almost had the motel stolen from her earlier this year, and that whole issue was put to rest, I think. And so it would be a real bummer to see us stop all this stuff, and then then they get it anyway. So prayers for Ramona and everybody. Hope to see you out there at the Motor Tour. I think there might still be a couple extra spots on the Motor Tour. That takes place in September. If you're interested in that, you can visit the website, Missouri66.org, and I'll pop that link up there right now. You can click on that. It says become a member, but it takes you to the website, same website. Become a member if you like, but you can also sign up for the Motor Tour there. Okay. Real quick, I'm going to scan back through the chat, make sure I didn't miss anything. All right. Well, going pretty good so far. Good comments on there. Thank you, everybody. All right, so I'm going to take down this QR code, and then I'm going to bring my buddy Gregory out here. Gregory Highway Hasman, just a second. Click the wrong thing. There we go. Let's see. Okay. Oh, let's see. I was just reading the comments. I want to make sure it didn't throw out any allegations that were untrue. I thought I saw something strange there. Hello, everybody out there. All right, we're going to bring out Gregory. All right, Gregory Highway Hasman. How you doing tonight, sir?
Good. How are you doing today?
Great. So Gregory and I, we've been buddies on Facebook for well over 10 years, I think, right?
Sounds about right. 2012, 2013.
Yeah, I think so. It's funny because like we do the same things. We end up in the same places, yet you and I have never met face to face, have we?
No, this is probably the closest we've gotten.
One of these days. So a lot of people know my story about how I got started on Route 66, but you're a younger guy. Do you mind asking if I ask how old you are?
Sure. 507 months or 42 years.
I never heard it. That's a good one. I'll have to start doing that to people. 42 years old.
Yes,
so
sir.
you're what most people would refer to as a youngster on Route 66.
Yeah, I got my first taste of the Mother Road in 2005. I was living in New York City at the time, and I decided I wanted to do something different. And I took a flight out to Dallas, took a connecting flight to Amarillo, where I got a tour of 6th Street by a president of a bank there. I believe his name was Bruce Coote, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure if he's still there. He showed me around, and I ended up taking a Greyhound bus to Tucumcari for a couple of days before heading out to Albuquerque. I did not have a driver's license at that point, so this was a Greyhound 66 experience, if you will.
That's interesting. What year was this?
2005.
2005. So my math is horrible. How old were you in 2005 then?
24.
That's pretty young. That's pretty young to be getting into Route 66. What compelled you think? What caused you to take a flight out there? And then what caused, was it that walking around 6th Street with that bank president, or what was it?
Well, that was what I did, but I was always into 50s and 60s TV shows like Oh, Lucy. I'd watch them, and over and over. I love the cars from the era. So that really got me into the nostalgic feeling. That's what I thought of 66, because for me, it brought nostalgic things, what it was like driving those cars down the road in the 50s and 60s. So I decided to head out to Tucumcari and first. And they ended up having an event there, which I did not know. But I did meet a man named Bob Waldmeier at the convention center.
Well, that's pretty awesome. Most people haven't got to meet Bob Waldmeier, only the hardcore roadies. So tell us a little bit about what that experience was like.
Well, I was looking to get some merchandise right away, and I saw his great artwork. His calendars were magnificent. But I noticed it was 2004. This is the middle of the year, so usually this is the middle of 2005, and I asked him, why are you selling calendars in 2004? For me, it just seemed counterintuitive. And he said he just wanted people to see his artwork,
So it was 2005. He's selling calendars from 2004. That sounds kind of like what something Bob Waldmeier would do. And I think I might have in my collection a Bob Waldmeier calendar that you're talking about. Does this look familiar?
Yes, sir.
Is that correct. It?
Yes.
2004 commemorative calendar. Probably the last one he did. Do you have anything from Bob Waldmeier by chance?
I do have the calendar, but not with me. But I do have this postcard from Hackberry in Arizona.
Stick it up there. Let's take a real close look at it. Right there. Hackberry, Arizona. Now, have you been?
I'll show you the back too.
Have you been to Hackberry?
Yes, that is a cool place.
So, for people that don't know about Bob Waldmeier, he passed away in 2009. But if you look at go ahead and hold that up the back side of the card again. Just a little intriguing piece of information. None of that writing that you see there is scaled down. That is all 1-to-1 scale. That's good, Gregory. All of that writing he did 1-to-1 scale. He didn't scan anything and then blow it up or shrink it. And that's just how he wrote. He was, and the calendar is the same way. Any of Bob's artwork is like that. So all of this stuff that you see, all this little writing down here at the bottom, the camera will focus there. That's all 1-to-1. So that's all live. So if you were to find Bob's raw artwork, that's exactly how it would look. It'd be the same size and everything. And he was a huge Mustang fan. That was the thing about that calendar, is that every show, every different month in there is a different Mustang. He loved Mustangs. So what was your visit like with Bob?
It was brief. I don't remember the exact conversation, but I got the impression he was fairly laid back. Traveling and being on the mother road was just that was his heart and soul. Later on, when I visited Pontiac, Illinois, and got to learn more about him, did I know that how serious he was about being on the open road and how much he truly loved 66 and the different people on it. Yeah.
And you met him in Tucumcari, huh? So you got to see him out raw and in the wild. You didn't run across him in Hackberry or anywhere else, did you?
No, he was sitting down at a table selling his items. But from what I understand, he did not sit down he was quite active.
Yeah.
With traveling.
Well, that's awesome. You got to meet him. Folks, I didn't get to meet him, and that was one of those things that usually I bring this up in my tip of the week is, when you have an opportunity, you should seize it. If you sit there and you dwell on it, think about it, things like that. The one time, when I was first getting interested in Route 66, I was more interested in it for the path, for the road, for where it went, and finding all the different orphaned sections and abandoned alignments and stuff like that. And so, it's kind of unfortunate because I didn't really start coming to the social scene until after Bob's death. Probably about 2010, 2011 was about the time I really started becoming more social with people. And I remember sitting there contemplating when I heard about his last art show that he had in 2009. And I thought, man, I should go and meet this guy. It'd be really cool. But then I thought, he doesn't know who I am. And that just feels weird going. And at the time, I felt like I'd be trespassing on somebody's last moments. And I regret it now. So that's the tip of the week, I would say, is don't dwell on things too much. Seize the opportunity. And if you need reassurance, just ask your future self what that person would do. And looking back, I wish I had gone and met with them. So I feel great that you got to meet with them. That's really cool.
I didn't know the scope or the depth of how important he was back then. Otherwise, I might have, said a couple of things or approached things differently.
Well, sure. You were just in your 20s, early 20s. I'm sure you're out there. Let's see, where were you from at that time? New York?
New York.
So that
was the first.
You're from New York.
Good. I'm sorry.
You flew to Dallas. Then you jumped on a Greyhound bus. Now, this was spontaneously, right? This wasn't planned, was it? Or was it?
The flight was planned for a couple of days. I mean, it wasn't the same day, but it was pretty close.
But the bus trip, was that planned?
I had no other. It was either that or hitchhiking, and my thumbs weren't in good shape then.
That's a good one. So you're taking this spontaneous trip, and you end up, of all places, Tucumcari, and you meet this roadside hippie, and I mean, what part of New York are you from? It had to be like a polar opposite, a huge difference from where you're from.
That's it's fair to say Brooklyn.
So that's pretty under. You're probably pretty out of place. So I would imagine reaching out to people and getting real in depth with them at the time was probably not going to happen.
No, I was just trying to figure out the lay of the land at the time.
Well, you got a question here. Elizabeth is asking, Greg, could you give us roadies on a budget a highlight trip from Illinois to Missouri over a weekend? I think what she's asking is, if you're on a budget, what are the things to see and do in Illinois? If you can answer that. I
have to admit, I haven't been between Chicago and Dwight yet. So I'll give you the central southwest portion. Mm-hmm. Definitely have to go to Pontiac. If you love murals, that is one that, 66 or not, one of my favorite communities to visit. Of course, if you want to learn about Abraham Lincoln's, you got to stop at Springfield. Yeah. There's a plethora of history. Visit his tomb, as well as visit the different statues, and they have a great historic interpretive walking area too. Again, depends how much time you have. You said a weekend, and you said Missouri. I'm not sure how far into on my 40th birthday 2 years ago, I did that. I started in Pontiac. I stayed in Springfield and ended up staying in St. Louis, but traveling as far as the Gasconade Bridge, if I said that correctly.
What year was that, you think?
21.
Okay, 2021. So the bridge was already closed at that time.
But I did stop in Cuba, Missouri Hick Barbecue. Great, pretty good food for me. St. Louis is interesting. St. Charles, I recommend, has a beautiful view of the river. Turns of 66. The Chain of Rocks Bridge, Missouri side, is interesting, but the Illinois side, I'd recommend going on both. Depends on how much time you have and what your preference would be.
Did you mention St. Charles, Missouri?
Yes. I know it's not technically, it's a little bit, I like to tell people if you're in an area where you can go. St. Charles Street.
Well, it's pretty important. What's probably the most important thing you think that happened in St. Charles? Now we're going to get into history lessons.
I was thinking of the great murals they have over there, but that's something else. Great railroad depot too.
Two really famous guys that explored the West.
Lewis and Clark.
That's right. That's where they set off from. Yeah, I'm from St.
Yeah.
Charles. I grew up there. I was born and raised. So you may or may not have known that about me, but I was born and raised just a couple blocks away from that riverfront, and yeah, it's a neat town for sure.
The Arch has a great museum. I recommend that if you're ever in downtown St. Louis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Arch is definitely one of those, and for most people like that are doing the international the motor tours, like from Germany and Australia, New Zealand, that they do the Arch. It's one of those got to see, got to do, got to go up inside of it and things like that. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll throw in a few things there. It's what if you're on a budget, right? If you're on a budget and say you're going to skip Chicago because Chicago's not budget friendly, maybe you start in Joliet, somewhere in that neighborhood. I would always recommend people take the older alignment of Route 66, which is comprised mostly of Illinois Route 4. And I would take that because that puts you through all the little small towns. Each little town has its own little square, courthouse square if it's a county seat. And every little town has its own culture and its own opportunities for you to experience those. You may find yourself stopping at a high school car wash where you're trying to raise funds for something, or you may stop off at a fried chicken shack or something. But as far as highlights go, those are all easily found in, like, say, Jerry McClanahan's Route 66 Easy Guide and some of those other books like that. The Willington Gemini Giant, that's a good one. But I would strongly suggest, if you want to stay on a budget, but you want to see everything, you're just in it to see things, and you want to take photos, I would shoot for the old alignment, and that's my recommendation.
To add to that, there's a brick road off Highway 4, I believe, by Auburn.
Yeah. Yep.
Definitely recommend that.
Did you realize that was originally Portland cement, and they took it up and replaced it with bricks?
No, I did not.
Yeah. I'll pop that up on the screen here, but so keep telling us, and we'll get back to that because that's interesting. Most people don't realize that brick section of Route 66 through Auburn was not original. That was replaced. It was originally concrete, and I'll prove it to you in just a second. I'll show you the smoking gun, so to speak. But keep telling us about your journeys across 66, how you kind of progressed into becoming a little bit crazier for Route 66.
It's like most things, it was gradual. The next event I went to, at the time I had moved to Houston, Texas. So I had family down there.
Mm-hmm.
And there I went to the 07 event in Clinton, Weatherford, Oklahoma. Went to see Asleep at the Wheel after a bad rain. That was a fun adventure.
Yeah.
It was a mud pit after that rain. That was in Weatherford, but that's on the side note. But yeah, I was in Clinton for a couple of days. Went to the 66 museum. I wish I was more into photography then. I definitely need to go back, get some photos of it. It's a great place. Definitely recommend it. I'm trying to remember how far I went. I didn't drive too far. I didn't go toward OKC or even Texas on that trip. I mainly stayed in Western Oklahoma. Elk City might have been the western terminus, or as far west as I went on that trip. 09, I went to Amarillo, drove from Shamrock to Amarillo. I think I went as far as Vega, I believe. Then I went to the 2011 event in Amarillo. On that trip, I lived in Houston. My ex-girlfriend at the time, we were dating then. She had lived in Lubbock, but we decided to meet halfway. So, because I was heading out to Gallup, and Gallup from Houston is not a short drive, 16 hours.
No, not at all.
So I met with her. I was about 8 hours, then drove to Gallup, and then from Gallup, ate at Earl's. Haven't eaten since then. I need to. I'm only 2 hours away now from Earl's. Great food, great beef enchiladas over there.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed their food there. And it's interesting because they have the vendors that walk up to your table and they try to sell their goods and stuff to the people that are patronizing the place. And it can be a little off-putting, but it's a pretty cool concept. I think it's pretty neat. I've always enjoyed Earl's. They were closed there for a little while, and I think they reopened right after the pandemic, I think.
Yep, I definitely need. And Jerry's is good too. Jerry's is just a block off 66.
Yeah,
Jerry's Cafe.
Yep, I've eaten there too. Good places. I'm gonna jump back because we talked about the brick road in Auburn. So I'm gonna share my screen. Give me just a second here, and I'm gonna show people the brick highway. I'm actually gonna blow it up here so people can see it better. That's what I want to see. Okay, so here's the Illinois Brick Road through this whole section, right? We could probably even drag our little guy here and we can see the brick road. There it is. Pretty cool scene, right? Okay. But what most people don't realize is that this was originally Portland cement. It was not brick. Here's how. Right here. So we follow this road. Here's modern day Route 4. And see how they've got this kind of turning? Well, it didn't do that originally. It used to stay straight. And it came across over to here. And if you look at this little shed, what do you see? You see this orphaned section of concrete. Well, what is that orphaned section of concrete? That, my friends, is original Route 66, Illinois Route 4. That is part of the original highway, and that's how we know that this brick was added later. So, hope you learned something there. What do you think about that, Gregory?
That's cool. Another reason to go back to Illinois. It's a beautiful state, and I'd like to do the whole route. Maybe start in Joliet and go back and go down to Staunton. Yeah.
So when people, people always ask, like, how do you plan for Route 66 trip? And the first thing that I always ask people is, how much time do you have, right? Because that's the real variable that you have to consider that drives everything. So if you had unlimited amounts of time, probably the best thing to do, in my opinion, if you want to see as much of Route 66 as possible, and you want to do it, say, under 6 or 8 weeks, because that's about how long you're going to spend if you have unlimited time, I would start in St. Louis. I would head up the old road, this Route 4 through Illinois, and I would hit Chicago, spend a couple days in Chicago, turn around and come back. The newer alignment, you'll pick up all the other stuff that you didn't see on the way up, and then you could breeze through St. Louis and take the various alignments, whatever you choose. You could spend a couple days there. When you get out of St. Louis, you're pretty much relegated to one alignment. There are multiples that you could, use as an option, especially, as Gregory here would know, when you get into New Mexico, what are their two choices there?
For the alignment?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I-40 is one. You can go through Glen Rio, which is the way I would strongly suggest.
Yeah, the gravel portion. Yep. Yeah, right. Indy. Yep.
Indy and up to. And I definitely recommend visiting Russell's Travel Center. Great museum.
Yeah. Well, Santa Fe Loop is another one. That's one that you got to make a choice. It's like, if you go to the Santa Fe Loop, it's gonna potentially burn up 3 days. Depending potentially. Now you could do it in a day, but then you're going to miss some stuff in between Moriarty and Albuquerque in those areas. So there is that, but for the most part, if you have enough time, you could do it in one trip. But for most people, they don't. That's why I tell them, pick an area, pick a spot. Gregory's. He's just told us right here, and most of his trips have been segmented. Have you done the entire route yet? I guess you haven't. You said you haven't been to Chicago yet, right?
No, I haven't done the northeast portion of Chicago. I did most of California, from Amboy with the iconic Roy sign down to Santa Monica. I recommend doing Santa Monica in a less busy time of day, I-10 on a Friday afternoon, because I was staying in Pasadena. That was, let's just say, 5 lanes of traffic is not something I recommend putting on people's bucket
You got to
lists.
know your neighbors in traffic, didn't you?
I made some new friends.
Yeah.
But there, I guess, different spots. There are parts I haven't been in 12 years, like the Joplin, Springfield area, Veneta. I've been to Commerce, but that was years ago. My dad's favorite player was Mickey Mantle, so I enjoyed seeing Commerce and Mantle's shotgun home. And Baxter Springs, I believe that's where he played minor league ball before the Yankees called him up.
Isn't that cool to go to his? I wish I had that ready on call, man. That'd be cool because I've taken a lot of pictures of his hometown, his house, his childhood home. Isn't it cool to sit there and look at the shed where supposedly he'd thrown balls at and see the shed all beat to death from balls, being striking the side of the building and all that. It's neat just to imagine yourself in the same yard as one of the most popular ball players of all time. It's a neat feeling.
And it also has a cool Conoco filling station. There's a lot there, things to see in Commerce. Yeah. I definitely recommend it.
Oklahoma's a great state for sure. Rita's got a question for you. She wants to know if you've been to La Bajada up south of Santa Fe.
Ironically, not yet. I've driven 66. I've done the Santa Rosa, what is now 84, up to Romeroville. I passed La Bajada a few times, but I'll be going up to Raton next week. So on my way back, I'll stop in La Bajada. I'll take a look.
You said next week?
Photos. Yeah, I'll be in Raton on next week.
I'm jealous. I'm super jealous because my favorite place, man. If someone said, Rich, if you could warp anywhere to Route 66 at any time, where would it be? And I don't think the answer would ever change. It would always be La Bajada.
Interesting history. It was not a fun route to drive on back in the day, as you probably know.
No, but out of all the places that we drive and we see on Route 66, it's always a marvel to me. It's amazing how untouched sections of New Mexico and even some in Arizona are. Like when you look out over that escarpment, and you can probably see for 20 or 30 miles, maybe more. I don't know, because you're way up in the air. Nothing much has changed. You see the Native American village out in the distance. You can see some roads and pathways. The only thing that's really intrusive on the landscape is the power lines. You see the power lines, and that's it. It's just super quiet out there, really peaceful. And I'm so happy that it's undisturbed and unmolested. It's a great place.
It is, and it's in the part of it. It's the alignment that I wish more people would travel on. I mean, a lot of people that I've talked to tend to think it's just from Tucumcari straight, almost linear to Gallup. But like you mentioned, that 26 to 37 route, some interesting country. I mean, Romeroville, you can just drive up and enjoy Las Vegas, which is a cool town. It's not on the route, but if you're in Romeroville, you might as well stop by.
If you go to now, for those not paying close attention, we said Las Vegas. We don't mean Nevada. We mean Las Vegas, New Mexico, right? Yeah. Las Vegas, New Mexico is, the state. What's the state motto, Gregory?
Land of Enchantment.
Land of Enchantment. And when you go to Las Vegas, you feel it, you see it, you breathe it. The Land of Enchantment. I mean, it's probably, and I haven't been all over New Mexico. I wish I could explore it more. I've been on a lot of different places, not just Route 66. But so far, Las Vegas, New Mexico is my favorite town in New Mexico, hands down. Neat place.
Another favorite town of mine, I love Las Vegas, and you can actually get there from there on Highway 104 is Tucumcari. It's about a 2-hour drive southeast. definitely recommend it. It's not, again, it depends on how much time you have, what your destination is, and so forth.
I might check that out. I've never done that drive. So you can drive from Las Vegas to Tucumcari down Highway 104.
Yes, state highway.
Okay, that's cool. I'll definitely have to check that out next time because I'm always looking for different routes in and around Tucumcari. Like, one time I drove US 54 all the way home from Tucumcari, and I'm just always thirsting for new landscapes and seeing new things. Rita, did you see her last comment? We're all going to have a roadie trip to Lava Hada, and Rich is leading the way. You better bring your bail money because if we're going to go, we're going to do the whole thing, and we're probably going to get in trouble.
No, one thing I hope to do, I'm a board member with the New Mexico Route 66 Association as well. I'm going to try to talk to the folks out there with the Centennial coming up. Nothing. This is just to see if there's any possibility of people being able to see some of that. Again, nothing's been decided. I haven't taken any steps, but something I'm thinking about. And I wouldn't do anything beyond unless I spoke to the board first. So let me preface it with that.
Well,
but it's something I think would be cool for some people to experience. So.
You mentioned you're kind of disappointed more people don't go out there and experience it. I don't feel that way. I feel the opposite. I feel privileged, and that me and just a select few other roadies took the extra hour and a half to drive out there. I mean, it's going to eat up a day. Like, once you get out there, you're not going to just be like, oh, it's just a hill with some roads. I'm going to turn around and go back now. Like, if that's if that's how you feel when you get out there, you just need to take the nearest exit and get on the interstate and go wherever, because you're a destinationist. You get out there and you have any sort of nostalgia or vintage aspect to your character at all, you get out there to Lava Hada and you think about the Model A's and the Model T's and everybody that traversed that area up until roughly 1933, what they had to go through to drive through that. Not just motorists, but we're talking about the conquistadors and anybody, through the age of civilization that traveled that corridor. They went through that area. So it's just really amazing. And again, I feel better that it is far enough removed from Santa Fe that
Right.
Not everybody goes out there. I just think it just makes it more special for the people who are more serious about Route 66.
There's a lot of rich history there. El Camino Real, Tierra Adrendro, I believe, because there are several El Camino Reals, including one in San Diego. A lot of history, a lot of trade route, Native American, Spanish, then leading up to 66 and current. So is a lot of history to soak in.
Well, yeah, you're dealing with an area near Santa Fe that was, some of the oldest civilizations in North America. It's just steeped in history. You mentioned earlier that you have some involvement with the New Mexico Route 66 Association. You want to enlighten us on that at all?
I'm a member and I'm a board member, and I contribute to their quarterly publication, Route 66 New Mexico. I'm not sure how many of you are heard about the unfortunate hailstorm that Tucumcari got hit with several weeks ago, causing damage to some of these classic neons like the Blue Swallow Motel, and so forth. The association has helped put up a GoFundMe account with a goal of raising $10,000. I believe the last I checked, they've raised about $4,900. But also, they released a press release the other day, basically announcing the creation of a task force. Excuse me if I'm reading just some notes I have, between the association and Tucumcari Main Street to repair. Johnny Meyer had said, and this is quote unquote, Tucumcari is isolated with regard to commercial sign companies that are capable of neon sign servicing. The closest companies that can service Tucumcari is an Amarillo, 115 miles away. For an Amarillo company to send a boom truck and a crew to Tucumcari is cost prohibitive to the family-owned small businesses in Tucumcari. Given this circumstance, the association has committed our organization to assisting the small business owners to repair the signs with a cost-effective solution. Meyer and Connie Loveland, who's the executive director of Tucumcari Main Street, will be meeting, I believe, sometime in the coming days with sign owners to identify which sign owners are ready to participate in the project.
Well, that sounds good. So if you look here at your screen, folks, I've pulled up the GoFundMe page. If you look over to the side of your screen there underneath the TP Curios neon sign, you'll see that QR code. If you're interested in donating, they're halfway there. They're looking for $10,000 to help boost efforts to repairing all their neon. And for those of you that have traveled through Tucumcari, you understand that that is a neon town and that they need some help. So we appreciate any sort of contribution you can throw their way. $5, $10, $100, whatever you can afford. It all goes a long way. I know as soon as I hop off here, I'll be doing my donation and giving to the efforts, because Tucumcari is a great town. And like Johnny Meyer said, it is so far removed from, some of these big hubs where they just can't get the support they need for their signage. And so they really could use the help, rather than having to go through Amarillo or Albuquerque. They're just kind of smack dead in the middle there. It's difficult to get plumbers, electricians, any sort of skilled tradesman out there, let alone neon shops. So maybe that's what Tucumcari really needs. Maybe they need to be the resurgence or the renaissance of neon, and somebody could move a shop out there and start doing neon restoration and new signage, like reproductions and stuff. That might be really helpful. So anyway, how long you been with the New Mexico Route 66 Association?
With the association, a little over a year. I was fortunately elected as a board member last July at a meeting in Gallup. Mm-hmm. I'm appreciative of that. And I look forward to continuing to do the best I can for the association in whatever capacity they need me to.
All right. So what other things are coming up? Did you mention earlier there was some stuff going on in Tucumcari as well? While we're talking about Tucumcari, didn't you say there were some events going up there? What kind of things has New Mexico got cooking for this year?
Yeah. If you like car shows, definitely come to New Mexico in general, but in particular, in September, I know it's several weeks out. One in Tucumcari is called the Show and Hop. It's from noon to 5 p.m. Definitely recommend that. Then the week after that in Santa Rosa, and I'll post the link momentarily, and called the Bozo and the Crew Fun Run. That'll be on September 15th to the 16th as well. And that's the Facebook page of the event.
Yeah. It looks like a lot of fun. There's quite a few people on there, over 500 followers for Santa Rosa. It's not a huge town, but I know Bozo's got quite a few cars, and Daniel Chavez, he's got some cool cars and stuff. That's a neat place if you're a car person, if you want to hang out. I would love to hang out down there and just check it out. Before the show came on, Gregory and I were talking about the car culture and how it's dying in all sorts of places in this country, but not in New Mexico. In New Mexico, it's alive and well, especially in places like Albuquerque. I wish I had popped up some of my footage. I was shooting footage a couple of years ago for some B-roll, and there were so many car shows and stuff going on down in the city at nighttime, and there was a lot of partying and stuff like that, but it was a lot of fun, and people were out there showing their rides off. And some of these guys, I bet they got $150,000, $200,000 tied up in some of these lowriders and stuff. I mean, they are crazy. How much of cars are a priority in their life. I think it's awesome. I love it.
No, I'd love to do so myself, but I live in an apartment and I'm not going to worry about the parking situation yet. But one day I'd like to work on restoring maybe a Bel Air or Studebaker from the late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm gonna jump into a segment called The Happenings on 66, which is where we go into the into the Facebook group page, and we talk about some of the things people have shared. Oh, that's a good one. Let me pop it up here. I just saw this. Okay. So from Brandon Gregory, he's like, guess where we were today? I'm going to pop that open. I don't know. I have no idea. It looks like a backroom closet someplace in an abandoned building. The bench seat's throwing me off. It reminds me of the Longhorn there on Glen Rio, but I don't think it is because there's obviously a roof on this building. So you got me stumped, Brandon. I don't know. Maybe some of the viewers out there might know. I'll keep scrolling down. This was rough to kind of take in right here. Let's see here. Oh boy, not good. The magic lamp in California. Laura Peral, she reports that this sign you see on your screen has been removed this week. And that's a real bummer, man. That is horrible news. I'm hoping we'll hear from some of our friends in California as to what's going on there, because what a neat place. And that's probably one of the most iconic signs on Route 66. It actually throws flames out. When we talked about it last week on the show, when Nolan Stoltz was on. So hopefully we'll hear more positive news about that coming up. Corey Hapgood, he's showing us the Ribbon Road in Oklahoma. And you may or may not be aware of this, but right now there's talks about doing some preservation work on that stretch of road. And I can't get into it too deep. I am one of the consulting parties with this as it pertains to the historic preservation. As of right now, the methods that they're trying to incorporate for, quote, restoring this are very destructive and invasive, and it's going to completely alter the character of this road. And so we're working on that right now. I'm not going to say much more, but there is cause for concern. So if you hear anything about the Ribbon Road or anything like that, stay tuned on it. If you see anything, pass it along my way. What do you think so far? There you go. What do you think about that, Gregory? What year car is that? I'm going to quiz you.
That looks like a Bel Air.
Yep.
Can't really see any fins. So it could be a 55 or 56.
That is definitely a 55. Yep.
That is a beauty.
That's a good looking car. I had one like that for a while and had to sell it. I had a red and white one just like that for a little while. I love this place. Have you been here before up near Lexington? The Oasis drive-in, the old drive-in custard stand?
No, I can't say I have. Not offhand.
This place has just captivated me for years. And why nobody can just get this guy to reopen it just eats me. He's had these old cars parked there. Now, I don't see the Malibu. There was like a 78 Malibu parked there forever ago. But yeah, this is an old ice cream, kind of like a Sonic drive-up affair that's there in Lexington, Illinois. It just kind of sits there. If you go press your face up against the windows, you'll see some old cars inside that building too. Just used for storage, unfortunately. This one's been shown before. This is from Elmer Teodoro, and this is the Magnolia Station, not quite on Route 66, but not far away from it. That is in Shamrock, Texas. Have you seen this place before, Gregory?
Yes. Is it off 83?
It is. Yeah, it's like a block off 83. Yep.
That is a beauty.
Yep, south side of town. Neat place. Yep. My first memories of Shamrock, I'll share with people. We had gone, my family and I, we had gone to the Longhorn there in Glen Rio, the last cafe, and we were rummaging about through it because, it was abandoned. And I picked up an old receipt off the floor, and I was like, oh, cool. What a neat little souvenir. And so I still have the souvenir. It's in a plastic bag, and I'll tell you why. There's probably so much nastiness on that floor that we went into Shamrock, Texas, after visiting the Longhorn, and we decided to stop there and eat at the Green Frog Pizza place. I don't know if that's still there or not, but Green Frog Pizza. I got the sickest I've ever been in my life, not because of the Green Frog Pizza, but because I failed to wash my hands, and I got food poisoning, and I was up till probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It felt like someone was stabbed me in the stomach. That's my first memories of Shamrock, Texas. Beautiful one from the Blue Swallow there. Another one, great image from Elmer. Like that. He's got the Motel Safari there too. We always love the Tucumcari neon. He's got his cat. I love cats. You like cats, Gregory?
I'm allergic to cats.
You're allergic to cats, so Gregory doesn't like cats.
I don't like them. It's just I'm more of a dog person.
But
I'm not anti-cat. Don't worry.
It's
just I'm more.
I'm a weirdo. I like cats. I don't know. I don't have any cats anymore, but I like cats. Oh, here's a good one. The Hackberry.
That is a great place.
Yeah, sure is. More great imagery from Elmer. Good stuff. I'm so jealous of that mobile Pegasus sign. That has been like my like gold nugget, like, the ring for Gollum. Like I've been wanting one of those Pegasus signs forever, and I'm just about ready to say the heck with it and just go get me a reproduction one and just say whatever. At least I got one.
I think that also used to be a Greyhound stop at some point.
Yeah, I would imagine it probably was, because there's nothing else in the area. Sleeping on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. That's at Earl's Motor Court. Another great place.
That's a great place.
Yep. Good people running it too. And then we get back down to the Motor Tour shirt. We've got a few other ones. Stratford, Missouri from Sean Warnke. Good ones. Another one from Elmer, the McDonald's Museum. I've been to that. Have you been to that, Gregory?
Yeah, not yet. I should.
It's interesting. I haven't been to a McDonald's in years, really, but it's a neat place. It's neat to see all the toys and stuff that they used to peddle on kids and Happy Meals and stuff like that, and all the different playground stuff. It's just a really neat place. I like it a lot. It's a good stop. That's in San Bernardino. If anybody's thinking about stopping there, it's the McDonald's Hamburger Museum. I think it's is it the I'm not going to say it. Never mind. I don't want to give misinformation. The Rialto in South Pasadena, California. That's a good one. There's a lot of Rialtos along Route 66. I just love these old marquees. It's just really cool to see them. You had one too, didn't you? What do you got there in Albuquerque? What's the name of that theater?
The one that some people may know is the Chemo.
Chemo. That's a good one. I'd like to bring that up. We'll bring that up here. Let's see here. Chemo Theater. Let's see if we can pop that up.
Opened in 1927.
There it is. Beautiful place.
I actually, in my apartment, there's a kind of a community table where people leave stuff like DVDs or books that maybe neighbors might want. And I found this about 2 days ago about the Chemo Theater.
That's awesome. Is it a good read?
Pretty good. Here's a photo of what it looked like under construction, I believe, in 1927. This will just take a second. Sorry if you can't see it.
Yeah, I can see. Let me tell you. Let me blow your screen up here. Give me a second here. There we go. There's the construction. Now your screen's backwards, so it looks like it says 1937. Is that right?
27.
27. Okay, that's cool.
It is pretty cool off Central, and one of the areas I definitely would recommend if you're in Albuquerque, 4th and Central, 2 different alignments of 66 meet there.
Yep. Yeah, Albuquerque is just a really cool town. A lot of neat places. I mean, we always talk about like St. Louis. No, sorry, not St. Louis. Chicago, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, places you can hang out for a day or 2 or 3. But Albuquerque's right up there with them too. There's tons of stuff to see and do around Albuquerque. You can go. Have you been up to the Sandia, the peaks or whatever, the mountains?
The tramway. Oh yeah, when my sister visited in October, I took her. That is something you need to. Anyone who visits Albuquerque needs to do.
I've never done it. Let me see if we can find. I'd like to see some pictures. Let's see here. Tramway. Pop that.
You go up to about 11 some odd thousand feet.
Yeah, let's pop that up there. People need to see this. There it is. That's the tramway. Man, that looks awesome. And it's way cooler up there too. Isn't it like the temperature drops?
In October, if I remember correctly, the parking lot was about 70-ish degrees. When we got up there, it was in the 30s.
Oh, wow. Wow. If you need to cool off, look at the snow. There's what Gregory's talking about. Oh, wow. That says January of 2023. There's a lot of
cool
snow
area,
there.
literally.
They do skiing, don't they?
Yes. I didn't ski. I skied once years ago, and the skis remained on top while I went downhill, and that was my ski experience.
I may have to come out there and try some skiing. That might be fun. I haven't skied in a while, but I'm sure I could still do it. What else? What else are you going to talk about? Does anybody have any other questions or anything out there for Gregory? Or Gregory, you have anything you want to talk about? Any sort of message or tips or anything?
I guess, Route 66, take your time if you have the time. I think New Mexico is a gem. I think every place has a lot of great stuff. Santa Rosa, as I mentioned, is pretty neat. I recommend, though, going the original route, though. If you're going west, get off 84 about 15, 20 miles outside Santa Rosa. Head up to Romeroville and just go down the old Las Vegas highway, which is 66. Mm-hmm. It's the frontage road. You can't take the whole thing into Santa Fe because it stops at different points. But from Romeroville, roughly, you can take it, I believe, to San Jose. Then it goes underneath, goes south, I guess east, because 25 is a north-south route. It goes east, then it loops back. Another drive I recommend is between Canoncito, which is about 10, 15 minutes east by northeast of Santa Fe, and go up through Pecos and visit Glorieta. It's pretty interesting country up there. It's much different terrain because you're obviously in the mountains and higher elevation.
Yeah, it's really different than what you'd think New Mexico is. It's really beautiful. And we've got another guest that popped in here. I'll bring him in here in just a second. But one thing that most people don't get a chance to see, because it's on the northbound section, and you have to make a loop to get back around to it. Maybe you've been there or not. It's from what I understand, it's the westernmost site of a battle or a skirmish in the Civil War. Do you know what I'm talking about?
There's three areas I could think of. And Glorieta Pass, they have Fort Union, which is further north.
Glorieta is one I was talking about. Yeah. And there's a whole interpretive area there just dedicated towards that little skirmish. And actually, most people wouldn't know this, but there's an old section of 66 that runs right through that little interpretive area. And now it's just a dirt walking path.
Beautiful country. And just a little factoid, I recommend if you're in Albuquerque visiting Old Town, it's a little bit off 66, but it's not off to the point where you're going on a goose chase. It's just a couple of blocks. And there's the Battle of Albuquerque. It was a short skirmish in Albuquerque. So the war between the states, Civil War, however, whatever people call it nowadays, extended this far west, Glorieta, Fort Union, which is not on 66, but it's going toward Raton north. Glorieta is a plethora of history as well. And even if you're in 66 communities, I recommend taking detours. For example, I was recently in Los Alamos. I'm interested in early Cold War history. So I was there took pictures of the Oppenheimer house and so forth.
Yeah.
That's only an hour and a half north. Just 2 blocks off 66 in Albuquerque is a nuclear science museum that has great exhibits, including some like B-29s and so forth. I recommend visiting. Plus, you have Nob Hill in Albuquerque. And
yeah.
someone alluded to earlier the Balloon Fiesta. I went 2 years in a row. I went with my mom 2 years ago, and I went last year because it was the 50th anniversary. One warning, though, if you like getting up at 4 in, you'll enjoy standing on line. If you don't like getting up in the morning, standing in line is going to feel a lot longer.
Yeah.
But I think the early rise and the wait is worth it. You see the balloons launch, the Dawn Ascension. It's magnificent. I recommend it.
Yeah, that's really cool. A lot of people go out there. I'm gonna bring Doug in here. He's been hanging out in the back room here, and Doug's never been on the show before. Let's bring him in. Hey, Doug, how's it going?
Hi, doing good.
What brings you on the show tonight? You have a comment or question?
Well, now that I've retired, I can pick up on the show on Sunday night. Usually I'd be going to bed.
Well, so I picked the right time to get everybody in there who's retired and got nothing to do.
Yes, I think so.
Well, okay. We're going to be winding the show down here in about 5 minutes. Do you have any comments or questions or any recommendations or anything for anybody out there?
Well, as you had seen probably a few of my personal posts, I was in Illinois last week covering Pontiac down to St. Louis, and we had a great time.
Did you eat in Pontiac? Because one of the questions one of the viewers had asked was, what is, and he could have been asking either me or Gregory, and I'll defer to him in a second. But the viewer asked what your favorite restaurant in Pontiac is. Did you guys eat there by chance?
We did. DeLong's, maybe?
Okay, DeLong's. That's a popular one, I think. Yeah. Yep.
Right on the square.
Yep. Yeah, I seem to remember that. Gregory, have you ever eaten in Pontiac, Illinois?
No, I ate just outside of there. I would have to look at some of my photos of where it was. It wasn't too far. I think it was going north, but I did walk the square and I did visit the different places, the museums and so forth.
Yeah.
But no, I guess to give you a short answer, no, not in Pontiac.
The only place I remember eating at in Pontiac, Illinois was at Haley's on the Square. I don't think it's there anymore. It was supposed to be famous for this giant chicken fried steak thing. And the first time I ate there, it was really good. The last time I ate there was, probably 2016 or 17 or something. I don't remember, but it wasn't that good. And I don't know if they're even still there or not, but supposedly they'd had the original recipe from the Mill restaurant there in neighboring Lincoln. So, yeah, hopefully I'm thinking of the right, I'm thinking of a different place. Haley's is in Lincoln, I think. I might have those confused. It's been a long time since I really dug deep into Illinois, so I could be confused. Somebody says Baby Bowl in Pontiac. I've eaten there before too. That is pretty good. Anything else? I don't know. Doug, you got anything else? You want to give a shout out to anybody or anything?
Well, I was going to comment. I was too busy to post anything. I'd have bunches of pictures, and I'd want to post them here now that I'm home and stationary. I'd like to share our adventures. Taking the older alignments and the bridges that don't go through just totally excite me.
Me too.
And it's so cool to imagine having driven on those roads across what's left of a bridge or no bridge at all.
Well, Doug, what I'll end up doing is I'll get you on the show, and you can show everybody a couple pictures of your Maverick and stuff, and things like that. I'll set up a time here later this summer to get you on the show.
Okay.
And I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, we'll see you soon. Go your own way.
Yes, sir. You do the same.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Gregory, we're going to be winding things down here in a couple minutes. I guess there's a lot of things going on in Mexico from what we understand tonight. Would you mind posting some links to what we talked about in the 66 Minutes Facebook group tonight?
You bet. I'll do that, and maybe a couple other links of events like the State Fair I'll post as well, which is coming up.
That'll be helpful.
In September.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. New Mexico is definitely the land of enchantment. You definitely want to experience it, and you can go beyond Route 66 to see all sorts of great stuff there. I really like New Mexico. And Gregory, buddy, like next time in Albuquerque, I'm gonna give you a call. We'll hook up. We'll go up to the Sandia Peaks. I'll throw some skis on you and my GoPro, and we'll just go all the way down the Blacks, man.
If it's the skis, I better up my life insurance at work.
Yeah, that'd be a good time. I would love to get up there. I've been wanting to go up there for a long time and just hadn't stopped to do it. And that, there you go, folks. There's always a new experience on Route 66. I don't think anybody could do it all in a lifetime. There's just always going to be something new that you can go out and make a memory out of. And so next time I get out that way, it'll definitely be the peaks, and I'll be calling my buddy Gregory here.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Gregory, for joining us. Stay in the back room. I'll be there in just a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and sign off here in just a second. Are there any parting words before I start winding down the show? No?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me.
All right. No problem. I'll see you, Gregory. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. That's pretty much the end of the show. I appreciate you coming out. Appreciate you watching. And more than anything, I appreciate you sharing. I need to get to more people, and I can only do that through viewers like you. If you share the show, it makes a big difference, and I appreciate that. So next week, let's see, today's the 30th. Next week will be the first week of August. I don't know if I'm going to have a show. I'm not sure yet. I was supposed to go on a little trip with my wife on a little vacation, so we may or may not have a show. It'll be my first big interruption, and we'll just see what happens, but we'll just play it loose and see how it goes. All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Thanks to Gregory for coming out. As always, go your own way. I will see you guys down the road.